Hey guys, Chelsea from Attention to Details, and today we are working on a headlight restoration for our customer. They were actually previously restored, and you can see areas where there's wet sanding marks from the previous restoration. We've got clear coat failure, we've got cracking, you can see like a delamination where some of the clear coat is actually chipped off and some is still there. The best method for restoring headlights when they're in this condition is going to be a wet sanding method. So what we're going to do first and foremost, pop our hood, tape off around our painted areas so that way when we do our wet sanding, we're not going to run the risk of damaging any of the paint. So the product we're going to be using today is actually Cerakote Ceramic Headlight Restoration Kit. I've done a video on this in the past, and they were actually kind enough to send me out another kit asking me to do a video review on it and share with many of you that they are actually now sold on a retail level at Walmart and on walmart.com. It's $19.88 for one kit, and you have enough to do both headlights with one kit. Very affordable, very user-friendly. No tools are required with this process. So for those of you that maybe you're just starting out or you're an enthusiast, if you're a professional detailer or just someone who wants to restore your own headlights, anyone can do this very easy, very affordably. So after we're done taping off our painted surfaces, we're going to get our materials ready. I have a spray bottle with water ready to go, as well as a bucket of rinseless wash to wash the slurry off from the wet sanding. You can see we do have a QR code with our instructions. If you want to watch a video on how to do this process, it's very user-friendly. And we also have written instructions for those of you that just prefer to read the instructions. All the materials are included to do both headlights. We have two different colors for wet sanding, gloves, we have our yellow oxidation removal, and we also have the ceramic coating wipes. Here we're first going to go ahead in circular motions with our gloves on and just use all 4 wipes on the first headlight to remove that yellowing off of the headlights. Even if you feel like you may have gotten it all on the second and third wipes, just use that 4th wipe just for good measure. That way you go ahead and remove as much of the yellowing off of the headlight before you start your next step, which is our wet sanding. Once I'm done with all 4 wipes, I'm going to give it a quick rinseless wash, dry it off, and I'll bring you in closer to kind of see what it looks like after this step. You can see we got all that yellowing off of the headlight. It didn't remove the clear coat failure, but now this really gives us a truer image of really what's going on with our headlights. We're going to move on to our red wet sanding step. You want to wet everything thoroughly from the headlight as well as your sandpaper. You can use the sponge backing plate that they provide, or just do it by hand. For some of those tighter areas, you might want to take the sandpaper off of the backing plate and just get in those tighter spaces so that way you don't run the risk of scratching the paint. All of that white milky solution that you see dripping down the front of the headlights, that's actually clear coat, or slurry as we would call it, that we are sanding off. You want to remove that failed clear coat so that way when we reapply our ceramic coating and our protection, we have a nice uniform finish. You don't want to press too hard, but you do want to have uniform pressure throughout. And then once we are done and we feel like we've gotten to a satisfied point, everything feels nice and smooth, we'll wipe things off, dry it off, and that way we can see really a better picture of what we were able to remove. Some of the damage is beneath the surface. It's actually cracked into the headlights, but everything is nice and smooth. We're going to come in with our gray sandpaper now, wet everything down again, and just try to make uniform light scratches. We're actually sanding out the deeper scratches at this point from the red sandpaper. And once you get to this point, there are some detailers out, they'll say now compound and polish, but with this product, it's uniquely designed that you keep those sandpaper scratches within the headlight and you actually coat over top of it. It's similar to that process of applying 2K clear coat through an aerosol. This is basically clear coat that you are applying through a wipe form. So you want to have some sort of grit, some sort of a rougher texture for that future protection to cling to. Now that we have finished our wet sanding stage, we're going to remove our tape, cleaning everything up, and let it thoroughly dry as we move on to our next headlight. That way everything has a chance to fully dry properly. And we're just going to quickly repeat this same exact process as we did on the right headlight to our left headlight. We're going to use all 4 of our yellowing wipes to remove the yellowing off of the headlights. We're going to wipe that off, and then we're going to dry it and then start our wet sanding process. This headlight was a little bit more deteriorated than the other headlight, so I ended up sanding it a little bit longer than the right side, just because removing that failed clear coat was very stubborn. I had to keep going over it multiple times. I would rinse it off, dry it, see that some of that clear coat was still there, so maybe attack it from a different direction. I know typically they will tell you when you are wet sanding, you want to go in one direction. You want to go side to side. You don't want to do up and down. But some of the clear coat was actually so stubborn to be removed that I actually did go up and down over it and then side to side just to try to remove those wet sanding marks. And it seemed to do a better job of removing that stubborn clear coat. So now that everything is nice and smooth and uniform on the surface, we're going to go ahead and do our gray wet sandpaper. And again, here I'm just trying to essentially sand out the red sand marks that were on it, and it's going to still leave behind a cloudy finish. You're not going to have as much slurry left behind. You can see that we removed most of that failed clear coat with our red sandpaper, and we're going to go ahead, do our rinseless wash, let everything dry, and proceed with our ceramic coating. So with gloves on, start at the top and just apply one nice uniform strip and just work your way down the headlight. And you can see it's as simple as that. It instantly clarifies and protects the headlight. So for those of you that enjoy a satisfying before and after, here's what our headlights look like before we restored them. We had cracked clear coat, delamination, a rough texture, a cloudiness, a fogginess, and a haziness to the appearance. And the customer just felt like it was such an eyesore to the vehicle. Previous efforts to restore his own headlights using other kits had left them looking less than appealing. But now we have a beautifully restored headlight. In around 30 minutes, we were able to remove all of that failed clear coat, and what's left behind is a beautifully restored headlight that looks just as good as new. We don't have any sort of sandpaper lines left behind. We have honestly just a fantastic clear reflection, dry to the touch after 5 minutes and safe to dry and get wet after 60 minutes. So hopefully you enjoy this look at the Cerakote ceramic headlight restoration kit. Make sure you like the video and subscribe and stay tuned for future videos that we have coming out. But thank you guys for watching, and we hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you in the next video.